Guilty, the man who plotted to kidnap and kill Holly Willoughby.
What's going on?
Gavin Plum spent years planning to abduct and murder the TV star, amassing equipment to restrain her and chatting to prospective accomplices online. The former security guard always insisted he was just a fantasist.
He was not just obsessed with Holly Willoughby as he claimed. He carefully planned over a number of years to carry out a violent attack in which he plotted to kidnap her from her home, take her to a remote location and ultimately take her life.
Well, tonight Holly Willoughby said women should not be made to feel unsafe going about our daily lives. We have the latest. Also tonight, heading out to vote, millions go to the polls in the general election.
And the fact of the matter is that I screwed up. I made a mistake.
A candid admission from Joe Biden after his disastrous debate last week as pressure mounts on him to step aside. And
British #2 beats the British #1.
Inheriting Murray's mantle, the Brits battling to be our next tennis superstar.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. Holly Willoughby says women should not be made to feel unsafe going about our daily lives and in our own homes after a man was convicted of plotting to kidnap, rape and murder her. The TV star thanked an undercover US police officer who'd helped to foil the plot by security guard Gavin Plum. She also paid tribute to the bravery of his earlier victims. Police described Plum as a violent and determined individual, and a warning that this report from Amy Lewis has details you may well find upsetting.
Welcome back to This Morning. We're live with you until 12:30.
During her 14 years at ITV's This Morning, Holly Willoughby became one of TV's most recognisable faces. But as she signed off for a final time, a plot to kidnap, rape and murder her came to light.
Well, see you tomorrow. Bye.
Police! Stay where you are! Do not touch anything!
Security guard Gavin Plum was accused of having a dark, twisted obsession with Willoughby.
Under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to kidnap. You do not have to say anything.
What is going on?
On arrest, he admitted fantasising about her.
I'm not going to lie, she's a fantasy of mine. I mean, she's a fantasy of a lot of guys, isn't she?
A jury has found him guilty of all charges.
Gavin Plum is a dangerous, predatory individual who was intent on causing the most serious harm to his victim. He was not just obsessed with Holly Willoughby as he claimed. He carefully planned over a number of years to carry out a violent attack in which he plotted to kidnap her from her home, take her to a remote location and ultimately take her life.
The 37-year-old had begun assembling an abduction kit whilst trying to recruit others in internet chat rooms. The court heard his messages were vile and misogynistic. He was caught when he unwittingly revealed his graphic intentions online to an undercover US police officer. Holly Willoughby has said today, as women, we should not be made to feel unsafe going about our daily lives and in our own homes. I will forever be grateful to the undercover police officer who understood the imminent threat. I would also like to commend the bravery of his previous victims for speaking up at the time. Without their bravery, this conviction may not have been possible. Gavin Plum has previous convictions for attempted kidnap and false imprisonment, for which he served a jail term. These are just 3 of the 10,000 images of Willoughby found on his phone. He also began tracking her movements and collecting detailed plans of her home. As a security guard, Gavin Plum's job was to keep others safe. Instead, he was plotting to kidnap, rape and murder.
Well, Holly Willoughby has not been in court during this trial, but she has waived her right to automatic anonymity. When Gavin Plum today was found guilty in court of all 3 charges, she released a statement. In it, she emphasised the importance of women feeling safe. When he was found guilty, Gavin Plum today cried in the dock. Police afterwards described him as a man who was dangerous, somebody who was predatory and intent on causing serious harm. The father of two will be sentenced here next Friday.
Amy Lewis in Chelmsford, thank you. Now, millions of people have been going to the polls today for what could be the most decisive general election in living memory. The main party leaders cast their votes earlier today, and you have until 10 p.m. tonight to cast yours. It is the first general election where photo voting ID is required in England, Scotland and Wales. Here's our political correspondent, Libby Wiener.
Decision day for millions of voters, from the East End of London to a church in the Lake District. The polling stations were open early. Some cast their votes in a caravan, for others it was the local laundrette. The man who called the election, the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, was among the first to vote, arriving with his wife at a polling station in his North Yorkshire constituency. In London, a short time later, the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, arrived with his wife to vote at a polling station in his constituency. Elsewhere in the capital, the Lib Dem leader, Sir Ed Davey, and his wife cast their votes. While in Scotland, the First Minister, John Swinney, was joined by his son, Matthew, at his polling station. Like everyone, they all needed photo ID this time. That could be either a passport, a driving licence, a blue badge, or alternatively you could bring an older person's or disabled person's bus pass. What's not accepted are photocopies, digital ID or veterans' ID cards. This afternoon, Reform's Nigel Farage posed for the cameras after voting by post. In all, 650 seats are up for grabs. There are just under 3.5 hours to cast your vote. Well, the first results should start coming in at around 11:30 tonight, but we won't get a full picture of what's happened nationally until the early hours of tomorrow morning. The world's media has arrived here to watch events unfold. Of course, in the US, July the 4th is already a historic moment. The question now, will it also become one in Britain?
Libby Wiener at Westminster. Thank you. And we will, of course, bring you all the results live on our special election programme on ITV1, ITVX and STV from 9:50 tonight. Here are Tom and Anushka with all the details.
When the voting's over and the exit poll is revealed, our unrivalled team of experts, including Nicola Sturgeon, George Osborne and Ed Balls, will break down what it means for you, the parties and the country.
And throughout the night, as results come in, we'll be going deep into the data to understand not just who's going to hold power, but how the new mix of MPs will shape the way the UK is run.
It could be one heck of a night, so please do join us for Election 2024, the results, live.
Oh, you certainly will, Tom. Do join Tom, Anushka and all the team from 10 to 10 tonight. And moving on now to other news, the militant group Hezbollah says it has fired more than 200 rockets into Israel in response to a strike that killed one of its commanders. Tensions have been building between the Iran-backed group and Israel since it launched its war in Gaza. Israel claims it intercepted many of the missiles and says no casualties have been reported. And buildings have been destroyed and more than 400,000 people have been left without power after Hurricane Beryl hit Jamaica. The Category 4 storm brought with it winds of up to 130 miles an hour, with at least 10 people known to have died across the Caribbean. The storm is expected to reach Mexico tomorrow morning. Well, let's go to the US election now. Joe Biden has vowed to stay in the presidential race despite growing pressure on him to quit. The president admitted he had screwed up in last week's disastrous TV debate, but that may not be enough to save him. There's now a critical 48 hours for both Biden and the Democrat Party, as our US correspondent Dan Rivers reports. I'm sorry, we seem to have lost the sound on that report from Dan Rivers. We will try to bring it to you a little bit later in the programme. In the meantime, there is plenty more still to come on the ITV Evening News, including the teacher jailed after having sex with 2 teenage boys, and the counterfeit criminals cashing in on the Euros. That and more after the break. See you then. Welcome back. A teacher who had sex with 2 teenage boys has been jailed for 6.5 years. Rebecca Joynes was already on bail for sexual activity with one 15-year-old boy when she became pregnant by another. Sentencing Joynes, a judge said the 30-year-old had abused her position of trust. Here's our North of England reporter, Kelly Foran.
You are under arrest at the moment on suspicion of sexual activity with a child.
The moment a high school maths teacher's world should have come crashing down.
Anything you do say may be given evidence.
Suspended from her job on police bail. But that didn't stop Rebecca Joynes. Described as a sexual predator, she asked one victim to guess her phone number as a maths challenge. She then bought him a £350 belt at the Trafford Centre, smiling and giggling, waving his Gucci bag, invited in to stay over by his teacher. After her arrest, she was told no unsupervised contact with under 18s, but Rebecca Joynes, here with her dad, ignored that, met her victim's 15-year-old classmate and went on to have his baby. He said, "I feel because of my gender this is seen as a lesser crime than if it was the other way round. Despite the difference in gender, the mental impact is the same."
Joynes was crying in the dock as the judge looked at her and said that there's been a breathtaking arrogance about your behaviour. The judge said that you were trusted by the school, by the boys and their parents, and you exploited that.
A baby will now grow up without a mother, but the judge told Joynes, "You've brought this all on yourself." Kelly Foran, ITV News, Manchester.
Well, let's go back to the US now, and a critical 48 hours for President Biden and the Democrats. Here's Dan Rivers.
The question on everyone's lips in Washington: are we about to see a change of the old guard at the White House as the crisis about Joe Biden's age and poor performance continues? Last night, Democratic Party governors from across the country met President Biden, afterwards trying to bat away difficult questions.
What would you say to people in your own party who say the game is up?
No, I would say this. In November, we've got a clear choice. The president was very clear that he is in this to win this.
And all of us said we pledged our support to him because the stakes could not be higher.
None of us are denying Thursday night was a bad performance. It was a bad hit, if you will, on that, but it doesn't impact what I believe he's delivering.
There is a concerted effort to present a united front to shore up Joe Biden's campaign. But despite all the fighting talk, there are plenty of people inside the party who are still saying enough's enough.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look.
The fallout from his toe-curling debate is growing.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
it's now emerged Joe Biden saw a doctor after this halting performance. The president himself acknowledging his shortcomings.
I had a bad night. And the fact of the matter is that, I screwed up. I made a mistake. But I learned from my father, when you get knocked down, just get back up. Get back up. And, we're going to win this election.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump was caught on camera making a withering assessment of Joe Biden's future and who might replace him in the race.
Kick that old broken down pile of yeah, it's a bad guy. He just quit, he's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
Republicans think Vice President Kamala Harris would fare worse than Joe Biden against Donald Trump, even though polling suggests that might not be true. But as Joe Biden celebrates Independence Day ahead of an interview with American network ABC tomorrow, many are seeing these next few days as make or break for his campaign. Dan Rivers, ITV News, Washington.
Here, the Metropolitan Police is reviewing an investigation into a car crash which killed two 8-year-old girls. Selina Lau and Nuria Sajad were killed after the crash at a primary school in Wimbledon last year. Their families say they were unconvinced by the investigation after it was announced last week that the driver would not face charges because she had suffered an epileptic seizure whilst driving. Let's turn to football now, and it's not going to be just the England fans cheering on the team this weekend to make it into the Euros semi-finals. The country's pubs and bars have been given a huge boost too, despite the questionable performances on the pitch. And they aren't the only ones either. Criminals are cashing in with counterfeit football shirts, as our consumer editor Chris Choi reports.
Now he needs to find a pass. Kane is there and England are in front.
With goals like this, UK businesses have reason to celebrate too. This one, with a branch in Birmingham, is part owned by England captain Harry Kane. And despite cost of living pressures, the Euro tournament has got people spending.
The Euros has made all my friends ring each other. We're all like, what are you doing for the football? We go out, we came here.
You know, people buying new, huge TVs so they can invite people around. Everything geared towards people gathering together and sort of celebrating the football team.
There was almost a 4% monthly boost to shopping centre visits in June, and during the England-Denmark match, a 25% high street uplift from 2 p.m. that afternoon compared with the week before. Outlets close to offices benefited most. But police say that with shirts like this, there is a darker side to the sales boom, as counterfeiters cash in. This police body cam footage shows pirated England shirts being seized, around £100,000 worth so far, using 11 search warrants and resulting in 8 arrests.
The product that you will buy is often substandard. It doesn't conform to any British safety standards, and therefore you're putting yourself at risk.
But seriously, what kind of safety problem can there be with a football shirt?
Well, as I said, it doesn't conform to British safety standards.
With counterfeits like these from under £20 and authorised versions 4 times that, it's easy to see why shoppers are tempted. But this trade insider says genuine shirts could increase in value.
Just let's say in 20 years' time, I could recall us winning the Euros in Germany, you know. And the thing is, to get that genuine shirt now, it would be amazing, wouldn't it? It probably increased 2-3 times the value.
10 days from the Euro finals, and you can be sure businesses are cheering all the way, as what's happening on the pitch boosts what's happening in shops and bars. Chris Choi, ITV News in Birmingham.
And finally, it's been the battle of the Brits at Wimbledon today. Harriet Dart shocked the British #1, Katie Boulter, beating her in a dramatic final set tie-break. And there's another enthralling match underway between Cameron Norrie and men's #1, Jack Draper. Ellie Pitt is watching the action.
To tennis fans, this has been Thriller Thursday. Brits in back-to-back action.
Boulter takes the first set.
There's been close contests and powerful performances. Top billing are the Murray brothers in the men's doubles. The pair have teamed up for the first time in Wimbledon history, and it's the match the crowds have been waiting for.
He's like tennis legends. I hope he plays very good in doubles.
He's going to win it twice, in the men's doubles and the mixed doubles. Come on, Murray.
We've seen him quite a few times and he's just amazing to watch.
But before the Murrays, excitement on centre court came from Edinburgh's Jacob Fernley. The world number 277 has just finished university and managed to take a set off 7-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic.
Incredible.
In a shock win, Harriet Dart beat #1 Katie Boulter as the British women played each other. While in the men's singles, Brits Jack Draper and Cameron Norrie are currently head-to-head. As the evening goes on, though, all eyes will be turning to centre court for Murray's match. Today is the start of Murray's farewell to Wimbledon. As well as pairing up with his brother, he's in the mixed doubles with Emma Raducanu, but he has said that this is his last tournament at the home of British tennis. Famous faces are amongst those who've gathered to mark the end of this chapter in tennis history.
He's one of our greatest ever sportsmen, and he has also won the Olympic Games here in 2012, so they don't get much better.
Whatever his last tournament brings, Andy Murray deserves a send-off worthy of the joy he's given fans here. Ellie Pitt, ITV News, Wimbledon.
And that is all from us for now. Do join Tom, Anushka and the guests later for the ITV election results programme from 9:50. It's going to be quite a night. Well, from me and all the evening news team, bye-bye.